Have you ever looked at your roof, then at your electric bill, and thought, hey, I could probably do that myself? Well, today we're going to break down exactly what that looks like. We're diving into a real-world guide for a full DIY grid-tied solar installation, covering everything from the first screw to the final reward. So here's our game plan. First, we'll get into the why. What's the motivation? Then we'll walk through the really hands-on stuff, prepping the roof, putting the system together, and connecting it to the grid. And of course, we'll finish with the best part, seeing what the payoff actually looks like. Okay, so first things first. What really pushes someone to take on a project this big? Well, it pretty much boils down to three key things: the cost, how long this stuff actually lasts, and that sweet, sweet long-term payoff. Let's be real, the biggest driver here is money. It's not even close. According to the guide we're following, doing it all yourself can literally slash the total cost in half compared to hiring a company. I mean, that's a huge saving before you've even generated a single watt. And you're not just saving money on a short-term fix. These panels are built like tanks. We're talking about a lifespan of over 30 years, where they're still guaranteed to produce at least 80% of their original output. And they'll likely keep on working long after that. It's a serious long-term investment. All right, let's get to the first big physical step: prepping the roof. Think of this as the foundation for your entire system. You absolutely have to get this part right, because if your foundation is shaky or leaky, nothing else you do is going to matter. The guide breaks this down into 4 really logical steps. You start by finding the trusses, the strong bones of your roof, so you have something solid to anchor to. Then you carefully drill and seal your pilot holes. After that, you install flashing for waterproofing. And finally, you bolt down the mounts that will hold the whole system up. You know, what's really telling is how obsessive the guide is about waterproofing. And for good reason. We're not talking about just a quick dab of caulk. No, they specify applying sealant in a U shape around the hole and then squirting more into the hole. It's this double layer of defense that's going to keep your roof from leaking for decades. Okay, with our rock-solid, waterproof foundation in place, it's time for the fun part. We're going to build the power-generating engine of this whole operation, right there on the roof. This is where all the cool hardware starts coming together. Now, a really key piece of this puzzle is the microinverter. So before we go any further, let's just quickly define what this little gadget does. In a nutshell, it takes the DC power coming from a single solar panel and instantly converts it to the AC power that your house actually uses. And this is exactly why microinverters are such a game changer for a DIYer. They make the whole system safer because the dangerous high-voltage DC power gets converted to safer AC right at the panel. They're also way more efficient. If one panel gets shaded, it doesn't drag the whole system down. Plus, they're modular, so adding more panels later is a piece of cake. Now, as you're putting the wiring together, the guide hammers home one really simple but absolutely critical rule. No wires can touch the roof shingles, period. You have to use zip ties or clips to keep them elevated. Why? Because over years of baking in the sun, that friction and heat will destroy the insulation and cause a failure. Okay, here we go. It's time for the final, and let's be honest, the most technical stage: safely connecting your brand new solar array to your home's electrical system and ultimately to the power grid itself. The absolute most important piece of hardware at this stage is the solar disconnect switch. This isn't optional, it's a mandatory safety feature. It's a big red switch that lets you, or more importantly, a firefighter or utility worker, kill all the power coming from your roof in an instant. It is a non-negotiable part of the system. And this leads to a really crucial piece of advice from the guide: know your limits. Seriously, while almost this whole project is doable for a confident DIYer, the one spot you do not want to mess around with is the live breaker panel. If you have any hesitation at all, this is the time to call on a professional electrician. Don't gamble with safety. All right, the hard work is done. The switch is ready to be flipped. Now for the best part. Let's talk about the harvest. We're going to look at the real, tangible results you get from cashing in on all that glorious sunshine. So, the big question: when does this investment start paying you back? Well, the numbers are pretty fantastic. On its own, the system is projected to pay for itself in about 9 years. But, and this is a big but, once you factor in all the available tax credits and incentives, that payoff period could drop to as little as 6 years. One of the coolest things about a grid-tied system is that you don't need to buy a bunch of expensive batteries. Your utility company basically becomes your battery. During the day, you send all your extra power to them and they credit your account for it. Then at night, you just pull that credited power right back. In this project, they got a 90% credit rate, which is amazing. And you don't have to just trust that it's working. You get to watch it happen in real time. The system comes with a slick app that lets you track everything: your current power output, how much you've generated over the system's lifetime, and you can even zoom in and see how every single panel is performing. So, what's the final verdict from the guide? Well, it really comes down to two things. First, yes, it's absolutely rewarding from a financial perspective. But there's also the satisfaction of knowing you're generating your own clean power. And as the author puts it, cutting down on pollution is just pretty cool too. When you really think about it, your roof isn't just a roof. It's potential. It's a massive blank canvas just sitting there. So the only question left is, are you ready to pick up a brush and start painting with sunlight?